Aloha and welcome. We're going to have a short little lesson here. And in this lesson, we're going to be talking about exceptions with functions. And I want to show you how nicely exceptions shine when you're using functions, particularly functions that are calling other functions. And you could be going several layers down the rabbit hole here. So let me share my screen with you and pull up code. I have created a little example here. And this example is going to show us what happens when we try and accept things here. And we're going to be calling on do something first. So do something is going to have a try and accept. So the try is going to call on do something bad. The do something bad is going to try a division by 0. So this is going to go awry and it should flag an error. When it flags an error, it's immediately going to kick up. It's going to look for an accept in this function. It's not going to find it. So the way these things go is it kicks up to the next level in its hierarchy. So the function hierarchy, the calling hierarchy, it's going to go from do something bad, going up one level to do something. And it's going to look here. It does find an accept. So it prints the oops, and then it returns back up to the do something level. So let's put in, well, first of all, let's see how that works. So we go ahead and we run it, and we get oops. And why do we get oops? Because we try to do something calls on do something bad. That goes down here, it kicks up, immediately goes to the next line, which is oops. If I printed here, I'd say, let's just say test. So when we run this, notice how test doesn't come out. Why is that? Because what happens is we call and do something calls do something bad thing is called. So it immediately says, uh-oh, we have an exception here. It's going to look here for an accept. There's no exception. It's not handled in this one. So it kicks it up to the next function in the hierarchy, the one that called it. And luckily here we have the try and accept. So in the try, remember, it called this line. This is where the exception came in. So it returned up as an exception here. So it immediately skips the print test here. Notice we didn't have its print out test, and it goes to our accept. And that's where it does the print oops. And then it continues on. So it comes back to here. Notice it doesn't do a pass there. Let's say we put in a print here to say accepted again. And then over at the do something, we're going to put print carried on. So when we run this, notice it says oops and carried on. So why is this? So let's look at it. We called on do something came over here, called on do something bad ran, and over here it said, oh, we've got an error, division by 0, so it kicks up. When it kicks up, it goes to here, and it aborts what it was doing. It stops here. It does not continue and prints test, as we verify down here. It goes directly to accept, and that is going to print oops. So it prints oops, and then after it's done this, because we've handled it elegantly, it continues from the next point. So we finish up, that's essentially the last line and do something. So it's going to go back up to where it was called, and then it's going to print carried on. Notice it doesn't pass that error up another level, or else it would have gone to the accept here, which says accepted again. So this is very important to remember. This is kicking up through the function hierarchy. So it's going to go up until it's handled. So let's say over here in the do something, let's say that we didn't actually do a try and accept over here. Let's say that instead of that, we just did a, hold on, let's say we didn't, oops, hello. Let's say we didn't do that. We just did something like that. So let's see what happens now. So now it's going to say accepted again as the first thing. Why is that? Well, let's take a look. We call and do something. Do something goes over here. It says do something bad. So it does something bad. This says, uh-oh, we've got a problem, Houston. So it raises the exception, doesn't find any accept in here. So it goes up to the next level. Doesn't find an accept here. So notice it does not print test. It does not print oops. it kicks up to the next level. So do something, it goes up to the next level, which is here to the global scope. And this is where it has a try and accept. Notice it doesn't go to carried on. It's the exception is raised here, so it immediately goes down here to accept. And that's where it does the print accepted again, which we get down here. So this is what you need to remember. You can try and accept, but you can go to a lower level. You can call a function that calls a function, and when those errors are raised, they bubble up through that function hierarchy. So it goes from the most innermost one. If it's not handled there, it'll bump up to the next one. If it's not handled there, it'll go to the next one, and it'll be handled there. Let's see, just as a final example here, what happens if we don't actually have this. What do you think is going to happen here? And I think you should probably have a good guess as to what's going to happen here. So we get this nasty, ugly, unhandled exception error. So instead of elegantly handling it with the try and accept, it gets to the point where do something, it calls on do something, it goes down to here, do something bad, it raises the error, nothing handles it here, it raises it to here, nothing handles it there. So it comes back up here, nothing handles it, here. It does not go on to carried on or accepted again. It's looking for the exception at the global scope. There is no accept here. So it basically throws up its hand and stops execution. And it says, 0 division error, division by 0, and it basically craps out at this point. It does not carry on, does not go to the print carried on or the accepted again statement. So this is a very useful way of doing things. You can bubble it up to the point at which you want to handle it, but that's the lesson. So keep in mind that your ability to handle it, well, you can handle it at a higher level. If you want to raise that level up until the point that you want to handle it, you just know that when you hit that error, it's going to bubble up through your function hierarchy until the point that it's handled with an exception. If it doesn't, it's going to cause a very ugly unhandled error. Is an unhandled error situation or an unhandled exception, and it's going to look ugly, and it's just going to crap out and not move any further after that. So it's an inelegant way of doing things. You want it to be robust and resilient, and you want it to be able to handle situations like that. So keep that in mind. Always try to handle your errors. So that is our lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and send me an email. And you can also ask to get together and we can do a Zoom session where I can go through any of the concepts that you have trouble with. But yeah, just reach out. If you have no questions, then I'll see you in the next lesson. Aloha.